Right. Hi, everybody. Science Node Live here at the Internet2 Global Summit in wonderful Washington, D.C. How are you guys doing today?
Great.
Doing great.
Yep. I'm here, like I said, at the Global Summit with Ben Fineman and Chris Collins, the directors, leaders of the Metaverse Working Group at Internet2. Why don't you tell us who you are a little more about what you do in your real life and what you're all about. Chris, start with you.
Sure. So I'm Chris Collins. I manage the Center for Simulations and Virtual Environments Research at the University of Cincinnati, where we essentially develop a lot of virtual and augmented reality applications for educators and research scientists.
Thank you.
And I'm Ben Fineman with Internet2. I'm the program manager for Net+ Video, Voice, and Collaboration Services. And one of the things that we're interested in is advanced collaboration technologies such as those that are enabled by virtual and augmented reality.
Very good. Thank you. Now, one thing I happened to sit in on their Metaverse Working Group this morning, and one of the main applications that I can tell is this idea of a video conferencing plus. This is a better way to conference. Some people say superior to better video conferencing. So this is one application that comes to mind of virtual reality, augmented reality. Can you talk about video conferencing and maybe some other applications for virtual reality in the research and education fields? Ben?
Sure. So, one of the value propositions for video conferencing is increasing the efficacy of communications. So adding video to any collaborative activity enables deeper communications than you would have via voice alone. And the idea is that virtual reality and these kinds of technologies will eventually allow us to go to the next level in terms of immersion and interpersonal connection beyond just what's possible when you're looking at a picture of the other person on a flat screen.
Right, and I mean, ultimately, we want to be able to do in virtual reality more than we can do in reality. So the idea that in the long term, we'll see collaboration applications that will allow us to do 3D modeling together or to explore some kind of a data visualization together. That the collaboration that we'll be able to do in VR will be more than we can do in real life. That's what makes it sort of exciting to me, and I think to our scientist community.
Very good. Well, teleconferencing, video conferencing is only one application, but what is the Metaverse's role in developing the platforms, the standards, and what is Internet2's role in all that? So tell me a little bit more about the Metaverse Working Group, could you?
I'll let you go first.
Sure. So the Metaverse Working Group, the idea is that we have a lot of researchers working in VR and AR right now, and our goal is to bring that community together so that we can both learn from each other, and ultimately we want to develop some standards and interoperability to allow our applications to talk to one another. So right now the hardware environment is pretty diverse. There are a lot of different systems that are popping up. Same with software platforms. And to some degree, you can't all meet together in the same place with different hardware systems, and we want to see more of that interoperability, especially as we move forward. And you think about this in online learning context, when universities will be using this in classrooms. We need that to work with whatever hardware students may have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think Chris said it well. I mean, you look back to the inception of the World Wide Web, and before those standards and protocols existed, the way to find and exchange information via computers on the internet was dispersed and proprietary in a lot of cases. And we feel like we're in much the same place with virtual reality and virtual environments. Much of the VR experiences today are proprietary in one way or another, either via the hardware or the platform that you have to use to log into it. And so for this to become ubiquitous in a positive and open way in the research and education community, we're big on standards and openness and things like that. We think that this kind of effort is required to promote standards and interoperability.
Very good. So Internet2 has a role in helping create these standards. I suppose, and helping further this technology. I heard you mention some of the challenges this morning, locomotion, for instance, being one of these challenges. Can you talk a bit more about what Internet2 can do to help develop these standards and the community at large?
Sure. And when you talk about what Internet2 can do, it's really about what the Internet2 community can do. And so what our universities can do when they work together. So any one university, even the large universities, can only do so much by themselves. And so that's kind of one of the core value propositions of Internet2 is leveraging the collaborative power of the higher education community. And so if one university says, hey, we need standards and interoperability for virtual environments, that's great, and probably nobody's going to listen. If all of us say that, then we can get somewhere. And so that's really Internet2's role. And we're not a standards body like the IEEE or others, but we are a powerful community when we all work together.
And I would say that's been my experience working with the Internet2 community. When you think about, say, web browsers in 1994 or something, right? Mosaic browser, there just wasn't a lot of how do you navigate the web? How do you consume different kinds of media? All of those sort of conventions that we've iterated on over the last 10, 15, 20 years, we haven't done that yet for virtual and augmented reality. So this morning at the Metaverse Working Group meeting, we were talking with other developers who are just trying to figure out how to develop applications. How do you navigate? What's the help menu look like? There are a lot of sort of interface options that are sort of new. We're just experimenting with what works best. So when we get a community together like this, of people working in this space, it helps us all, learn more quickly and from each other's experiences, which I think is ultimately a great thing.
Excellent, excellent. And we touched upon one application, the video conferencing or teleconferencing, which is really important for business and research and education. Could you talk about some other applications you think are very promising, good applications for VR and AR that come to mind?
So there are a couple of low-hanging fruit. The field trip. So the field trip, because it would be too expensive or unsafe or difficult to get there. I think we've seen a lot of schools, including K through 12 schools with the Google Expeditions that are taking students on virtual field trips, and that's really a great use case. At our institution, we have a lot of research scientists who are especially interested in doing like social and behavioral research in VR, both because they can control all of the variables and experience that the user has, as well as really track what the participant does. So it makes it a really useful venue, actually, for lots of different perceptual and cognition research. And then we've also seen a lot of, say, visualization, data visualization, medical visualization, prototype development, those kinds of things. So, looking at 3D models and interacting with them either as a one person or in a sort of multiplayer sort of experience is opening up a lot of new opportunities for scientific collaboration. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, and some other ones, another one for low-hanging fruit is recruiting and campus visits. And so, it's one thing to look at pictures of a university campus that you might be interested in attending. It's another altogether to travel there in virtual reality and actually have the experience of walking around the campus and seeing what it feels like and things like that. Another area that I think is particularly interesting are the new pedagogies that are enabled by this kind of technology, and that kind of goes to what Chris was saying earlier in collaborations. It's not just recreating the kinds of collaborations that we're used to having in person. Similarly, it's not just about creating or recreating pedagogies that we're used to doing in the physical world. It's envisioning new pedagogies. For example, there's an application that allows students to go inside the anatomy of the human eye, or go inside blood vessels and travel around the human body at a microscopic level. And so these are things that were possible before with pictures and with videos, but being able to feel physically present in those spaces and interact with those spaces. So, you could take out the lens of the eye and look at it and play with it and see how it works. These are things that were never possible before. So that's what really excites me is seeing what new things that we'll be able to do.
Well, it seems like there's almost no end to the possible applications, but this seems like it also will call upon a diverse array of talents, a diverse set of people who can help develop the applications, the interfaces, and I suppose that's what the Metaverse Working Group is trying to do or is about. Can you tell me more about this interdisciplinary sort of team that you're trying to build?
So one of the things that's great about VR and AR is that, it's not just computer programmers, it's not just artificial intelligence and machine learning. It really requires artists and sound engineers and 3D modelers and storytellers, and so there's almost no discipline across the institution or the university that doesn't have some impact on VR. So we're really trying to invite faculty members, IT folks, media teams, folks that are already doing like regular film. Maybe they're interested in 360 video. So, it really is a sort of open call for folks who are interested in learning more about what is essentially a new media. VR and AR are just sort of, they're not film. It's a new medium altogether, and we're really interested in having people, explore it with us.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll say about that is when people hear about what we're doing, oftentimes they think, oh, well, that's not for me because I'm not a VR expert. The truth is that there are very few VR experts in higher education. So, certainly there are some. I mean, one of our talking points is that higher education has been involved in virtual reality since 1991 or earlier with the cave immersive deployments. But those are, relatively few and far between. So certainly having those people involved in that institutional knowledge is important. But I think even more important is bringing new people to the table, because we're all new to these head-mounted displays, and especially the augmented reality. So things are evolving very rapidly. We're in exponential times and all that. So my message there is, just because you don't feel like you're a virtual reality expert, don't exclude yourself from this kind of activity.
Very good. So if people were wanting to join the Metaverse Working Group, how would they do so? How would they get in contact with you?
So the Internet2 website has a web page for the Metaverse Working Group, and you can add yourself to the mailing list. I think if you Google Internet2 Metaverse, you'll probably get there. I also made a bit.ly address. It's bit.ly /MV-WG, so people can go to that as well.
Remember that?
And I think they can email us at metaverse@internet2.
Yeah, that's probably
.edu?
the easiest one. Yeah, that is our mailing list. But if you send an email there, it'll get moderated, and it'll go to Chris and I and Gurcharan, who is the other chair of our Metaverse Working Group.
Well, excellent. Thanks for talking to me, Chris and Ben. We all were promised augmented reality dance, and we're not going to disappoint. Say goodbye to Chris and Ben, and I'm going to walk away and show you some augmented reality dancing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And here's what it looks like. Just go around here. Hi. Joe, can you narrate what's going on here a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So this is what we call virtual theater. So there's Vic over there. She's in Rochester, and she's being motion captured, and her actions are guiding the avatar in the virtual space, which is shown over here from this version. Now, I'm actually seeing the same thing through the HoloLens, from the point of view of one of the tables in the virtual.
So you're sitting there at the table watching this.
Exactly.
Okay. So, what's your name again?
Joe.
her name?
Vic McGowan.
Have her do a pirouette or something?
Oh, Vic, do some moves.
Bust a move.
Bust a move, Vic. Go ahead. Whatever.
There we go.
There we go. Keep going.
Excellent.
Keep going.
Although you may not be, buying this more or less with oh, are you? The people that
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you again, Ben and Chris. I think we'll end it there. This has been Lance at the Internet2 Global Summit. See you next time.